If I believe that God is not a fact, won't I then be making up an ideological life based upon an optical illusion of my senses so that I may see things as I think, or wish, they are or could be, just like those people that see God fool? It seems the answer is yes, and yet no. It is yes in the sense that our beliefs do shape our view of the world we find ourselves in, and it is no, in the sense that in all these beliefs there is an underlying sense of some kind of truth. And what is this truth? This truth is that we all, as human beings, are experiencing some ultimate sort of question, or mystery, that we have no definitive, empirical answer for. Some believe by faith, others are sure of their spiritual sightings, some believe wholeheartedly that they have been abducted by aliens, some have a very pragmatic, realistic approach, some don't question life at all. But, while we all have different interpretations of our experiences, we can hopefully all agree that many humans who have intensely experienced something in life will try to interpret the experience in some way. This is often done through some sort of language, whether it is art, written, spoken or other. The problem is that language, and this also varies depending upon whom you ask, is generally not up to the task of conveying the experience. The best it can do is hopefully trigger a memory or event in the mind of the reader so that the reader can empathize with the writer's emotions, and this comes about most efficiently from a writer who, while writing, was already empathizing with the reader held dearly in her or his careful thoughts. And love, that often thought of as rare feeling, that sort of intangible, succulent, rich happening of life that seems to be the cause of so much heartbreak, tragedy, growth and joy, how does one describe it? Shall I describe it technically, poetically, philosophically, mystically, spiritually, religiously, psychologically, or maybe in some other way? How can one ever truly capture the full essence of an experience so rich and so astoundingly impactful and powerful, that it can lead one not only to a life of constant fulfillment but also to the other extreme of suicidal depression? And, a person can experience both extremes, from suicidal depression to intense joy, while traversing along the path of involvement with only one relationship/love/lover. In fact, I remember when I was younger going through these extremes of emotions because of love, or so I thought at the time, and going through them in just one day. 1 minute, you are happy and securely in love, and the next minute you feel betrayed and hurt. Yes, I remember those days and remember them quite well. So, here we are trying to interpret love, and trying to do so through our varying beliefs based upon similar but highly unique experiences of life as well. Add to that mix our families, peers, colleagues, cultures, societies and immediate neighbors' influences, and you have a potpourri of ideas and circumstances. Also available, in most circumstances, for your immediate perusal, a vast storehouse of books, movies, music, paintings, photographs, and more that all depict an individual's filtered viewpoint of their own experience with, or lack thereof, love. But, this is no different than the interpretations we make on any other subject in life. We interpret everything uniquely, so I ask, who's to say what is right and what is wrong? Now, when I ask that question, some will see it as rhetorical, some will see it as a chance to enforce their personal beliefs, i.e. God is the only one that can tell you what is right and wrong, or I am the only one to say what is right and what is wrong, or who's to say, is correct, but I don't know is my answer and that works fine for me. Again, it's like trying to ask, what is love? Every single person will answer this question differently. Listen, even if two people use the exact same phrase to describe what love is, or is not, they will have had varying circumstances in their lives that led each to their respective beliefs. How can anyone answer this question in a definitive way? When it hits you that in life there are no questions that you can come up with that do not present varying degrees of complicated responses from all corners of the globe, mind and imagination, then you may begin to see a truly grand mystery. Of course, you may also become quite terrified when getting the idea that there is no answer to any single question that will satisfy all human beings at the same time. Someone will always have a different interpretation from you of their experiences in life. Personally, I am not a person who is terrified of not having answers to my questions. I find that particular part of my life to be thrilling, enticing, adventurous, open and fun. As I already said, I still have the same experiences I always had, I just interpret them differently. So, what have I truly lost? I do feel that I see a grander mystery. I see a real beauty in the impersonality of the universe. Amidst the creation of life and the intense beauty of our stars, the universe is also violent, chaotic, and destructive. And this is something I not only see in our heavenly skies, but in our daily lives as well. I see that the laws of the universe are reflected right here in our lives. We are elemental products of the universe, and as such, we are reflections of, rather than opposed, to it. This is why we experience destruction, tragedy, and chaotic violence alongside beauty, birth, creation/procreation, happiness, and yes, even love in our lives. I find this a grand mystery. My life is a reflection of a universe. When I think of this, seriously think about it, I get a sort of wow moment. James Joyce called those moments epiphanies. It's a beholding of the radiance of the transcendent mystery beyond one's current state of thinking. An epiphany is when something breaks through our normal ways of experiencing life, and causes us to change our thought patterns in some way. It's like serendipitously obtaining a glimpse of all the secrets of the universe that have been woven into the finest silk handkerchief, and as you reach for the silky cloth, the darkness shows up with copious amounts of money and time, and effortlessly snatches the silk from your eager hands and engulfs you back through its shadow and leaves you fully emotionally spent in your world. At least, that's one way I interpret it as such. It may not be this way for you at all. Like I said, language doesn't do our experiences justice. For instance, I once wrote about love. Here is a little-known secret. It is not love you are referring to when you say, "I love you more each day." What gives the illusion of degrees or variations in love is found in the way it is expressed. The expressions of love vary, but the love itself never does. Love seems to deepen when it is only the learning of how to better express it that changes. Love is merely involved recognition and total acceptance. The love itself always stays the same. It is like justice, either you have it or you do not. It is not possible to have a little justice. Justice, like love, is an absolute quality. So, in my view of love, it isn't the most special part of a being or a relationship. To me, the most special part is found in the symptoms or expressions of that love. The relationship that is built on love, total acceptance, and involved recognition, provides a wonderful illusion of the ups and downs of love. I say illusion, because we have already seen that a pretty common experience can be interpreted in myriads of different ways. For instance, let's say that I am watching a horror movie and as the grandfather clock strikes midnight, a huge crash is suddenly heard on my porch. The way I will interpret this crash outside while listening to a horror film's bloody screams blending with the gonging of the grandfather clock will have nothing to do with right and wrong, although I may think in those types of illusory terms as well. Instead, it will have to do with a variety of factors, including, but not limited to, my DNA, environment, parental upbringing, time period, am I alone, and more. The crash outside may be a sign from God that I shouldn't be watching the show. It may be a warning that great doom is on its way. Or, it may just be a weakened tree limb that had to eventually fall, and did so at a cool moment. This way of seeing things affects everything in our life, from how we see God/God, the goddess/I, you/life, nature/love, or to how we believe or not believe and act or not act from this center of influence found in our brains. Love is a topic I have read and studied about all my life. And, I still feel that the differences are not found in love itself, but in the expressions of love. We have all types of categories for different types of love, but those categories are all false. What the ancients were really trying to categorize were not different types of love, but rather, the different ways of expressing it. As stated, love is an absolute quality, and so, there are no degrees or divisions of love, and it is not possible to love a little less, or love a little more, and there is no being in love, as opposed to just loving someone, or even a difference in the love you feel for a pet. The differences seen there are not in the love. It is in the way we express those differences.